Hello, happy Thanksgiving, and welcome to episode 2 of Truckstop Chatter. Thank you for tuning in today. My name is Fury0789. Sitting next to me is
Elite Sir Bob.
We are here today to discuss Fallout 4 and a little bit of gaming culture today. Hope everyone's having a good day. I know I am. How are you, Bob?
Doing pretty good. Had a pretty decent Thanksgiving day myself.
Good.
Ham for the holidays. Not really much of a turkey guy.
Really? Don't like the turkey?
I mean, I'll eat it. Don't get me wrong. Ham and turkey is actually one of my favorite sandwiches, but for some reason, my dad's family and parents make a holiday ham.
That is interesting. I've never heard someone doing that before. So, let's start this off today with a little refresh. Where are you at on your character in Fallout 4?
Currently now, I am level 38. I've completed some pretty major quest line and story stuff, almost to the point of which I've sort of seen a semi-end credits already.
Really? You've been pretty addicted to the game, huh?
I've just been pushing pretty hard to complete the story overall to see kind of how they expect this universe to grow, with the potential DLC to come forward.
Understandable. I myself, I am borderline level 14. I know I didn't really progress much since the last episode, but I did get caught up with work this week. We had some issues go down, so I had to step in. But I did progress a little bit in the story. I did do some more exploration and some missions. So I definitely did advance a little bit further than what I was last week, which I am happy about. So, after that little refresh, let's start this topic off this week.
And here I am being called to war again by, the new military. So at first, I was right on board, helping them out, doing pretty much everything they asked, getting all these new settlements. It actually kind of happened so quickly I couldn't defend them all at first.
Right.
Because I was just helping them out almost exclusively and not pushing the story. One of the reasons why I went so forward in the story now was just because of that.
So, back up.
Naturally, beyond that, I eventually encountered the railroad. They have to deal with, the synths wanting to escape the institution, and also the Brotherhood. Now, the Brotherhood, I pretty much ignored. I did the first quest where I talked to them, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to come back later, and then just never came back. Instead, like I said, I focused on the Minutemen.
Right.
So then the railroad, I helped them, and then finally, I got access to the Institute. Now, obviously, you kind of have a choice. Do you join the Institute, or do you destroy the Institute? I obviously chose destroy the Institute in this situation because their ideals didn't quite align with what my character was doing. So they kind of ultimately are, setting you down these chain of event paths. And now that I'm working with the Minutemen, and the Minutemen are who helped me destroy the Institute, they want me to also take out the Brotherhood.
Really?
Yeah, which I was already enemies with them before because I had aligned with the Minutemen. One of the things I didn't quite realize until all of a sudden they're like, hey, we want you to take out their main base. We're going to take down their version of the Hindenburg.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I did not know about that. So, what have you done with the railroad? Anything?
The railroad, I did a few quests for them. I helped them, save a few synths. Fortunately, I didn't do as much as I could. There's actually a quest inside the Institute where you're supposed to help a whole bunch of synths escape at once.
Nice. If you guys want, go check that out. It definitely should be interesting. I've watched some of Bob's clips before. So I have definitely aligned with the Minutemen so far because my character is definitely more of a cowboy character. I definitely want him to be, desperado, cut and dry, no bullshit, no sidearm, or not no sidearm, but no side interests. He is what he is. I have encountered the Brotherhood. I helped them clear out the little police station, and I went in and raided them for all of their supplies that I could possibly take. I did kind of get the feeling that I was going to have to pick between the two majoring factions there, so I kind of did just leave it alone for right now. I haven't really messed with any of those. I have been, though, encountering a little bit more of the synths in the area. What's up, 30 and Still Gaming? Thanks for tuning in today. Happy Turkey Day, brother. How you doing? We are talking Fallout 4 today, so I'm glad that you could stop in. I have been helping some of the synths. I kind of feel passionate towards their cause. They just want to be left alone and be able to start their own life. I have, in fact, ran into a synth after he just took over a person's life and like mimicked him. So you couldn't tell which one was a synth and which one wasn't. So it was definitely interesting sitting there and watching both of them fight it out and try and persuade you to whose side are you going to take. I instinctively felt that the aggressor in the situation would inevitably be the one who is trying to rid the world of the actual person because they're trying to eliminate who they're trying to be. So, I in fact helped out the guy who was down on the ground with a gun to his head. Thought that was pretty interesting. And then I also saw the confrontation in Diamond City where that guy is pointing a gun at his brother and then the security guards blow his head off. That was pretty fun too. But I know I'm definitely going to destroy them. But my big decision I got to make right now is, do I want to be Brotherhood of Steel or do I want to be Minutemen? And I think right now I'm leaning more towards Minutemen because this character is a desperado. Like, if I could have a machine gun and a guitar case, I would totally do it.
Well, the Minutemen obviously get a lot of good stuff, like the castle, for example.
They do. They definitely have some nice strongholds.
And they allow you access to artillery fire. So, gotta kill a Mirror Queen to get there.
But it's worth it in the end. So, from there, let's revisit crafting. Because I know after playing the game a little bit more, I've gotten some more perks and some more levels and stuff, so it's given me the possibility to craft more and to see more of what the game can do. I know you definitely have reached that point being level 38 that you definitely are able to craft a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, my gun crafting particularly is pretty vast. I still don't have anything for power armor because I lack the science capability and energy weapons, but my normal weapons pretty much all maxed out. So the best receiver, they're either using the best ammo, like 308. Mm-hmm. I'm firing 308 rounds out of a handgun because that's the most damage you can do with those handguns. It's stronger than the 45s, I've actually noticed.
Excuse me.
Downside is shots-wise, it acts like a sniper rifle, so like you use VATS, you're only going to get like 2 shots maybe, or 1 shot, as opposed to many shots with a normal pistol. But the damage, way worth it. I also have the 50 caliber sniper rifle for actual sniping. A shotgun that's so maxed out it can actually be silenced.
What kind of shotgun is it? Combat shotgun or a regular shotgun?
It is a combat shotgun.
You gotta love the combat shotgun. Throwback to Fallout 3. They definitely were lacking it in Fallout New Vegas.
Yep, and I've got the quick reloadable clips and pretty much the strongest hard receiver, best full marksman stock, and the thing, I could basically almost snipe sometimes with this thing. It's so ridiculous, especially if you take off and put on like a muzzle brake. You can get some serious aimed in, almost as if you were firing a slug.
Awesome. That's really awesome. So what are you then specializing in? Have you even truly specialized, or are you just going a vast character?
Right now I'm mostly specialized in luck and agility. A lot of my perks are in there. I have almost maxed out sneaking. I also have pretty much maxed out pistol, and although it's not agility, I also have the one for rifleman, perception as well, pretty much maxed out. I took ninja, which lets you do even more damage while sneaking, and because I can practically be standing in front of someone, and if it's not bright outside, they can't see me.
That's awesome.
So it just says caution and not danger.
Nice.
I've actually bumped into a few ghouls and managed to not go into immediate danger for some reason.
That's awesome. That's pretty cool, actually.
So at this point, I'm more of a stealth, long range if possible, but at close range, I'm still very deadly.
Right.
I also finally got the Gauze rifle.
Really? That is available?
It is available, and it's very powerful. It does about 300 damage.
Wow.
And that's unmodified if you haven't upgraded it all the way.
Wow, that's something to look forward to there, guys. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I suppose there's a somewhat spoiler alert, but I mean, you've probably seen the pictures of it around.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone's seen it.
I did also find some walls and things that you can snap together. I still feel there is not nearly enough building materials. One example is, although I could finally make a house by snapping walls and corners together, there's only one corner.
Right.
So
unless you go with
it's either inside out or outside in, unless you're doing prefabs, exactly. So I feel like there's just a lack of variety of stuff there as far still as building structures. Now, granted, I haven't found all the magazines yet, so maybe there's more, but I just really hope they bring some of that to the mods at least. That
Oh,
there's way more to build.
I would imagine the mods are going to be jam packed with crafting and stuff like that.
Everything else modding wise has been great. So if they get more items in there, I feel like I just recently found an island in the game towards the right hand side, lower south area. So like, I guess that'd be southeast.
Right.
And once you clear another Mirelurk Queen and all of its inhabitants, you can actually turn on some generators and you can build on the entire island.
Really?
It's big too. There's like 3 or 4 buildings already on it. And it's just vast area that you can clear out and do whatever you want with.
That's awesome. That's also something to look forward to there. I have been delving a little bit deeper into the weapons modding. I have gotten a couple more ranks in my gun nut perk, and then I did a couple more ranks in my rifleman perk, because I'm definitely trying to be handgun sniper rifle combination. But at the same time, I am also fond of throwing a Molotov at someone and watching them. I always enjoy hearing the sizzle and seeing the pops.
I have finally just recently started using frag grenades. I had like 60 of them.
Right.
So I decided to actually take some of them and start throwing them. I finally used the Stealth Boy.
Really?
Yeah, I've actually used like 3 now.
Shit.
The first one's always the toughest because you're like, oh, I just gotta wait for the perfect moment. You get so few of these.
Mm-hmm.
It works pretty much the way it used to. You go invisible, and as long as you're not in direct line of sight, you get around a corner, you'll go into pretty much hidden really quickly. So
right.
It's everything I could have expected, for it. So either way, it's been a good. I've also used a lot more chems now too. So like,
really, you're getting a druggie. You're being a druggie.
Almost, in a sense. I only became addicted to once. It was to not buff out, but I think it was Rad X or Rad Away. Either way, I've been using a lot more of that stuff that becomes available, and it's through crafting that I've been able to get some of those things, like through the chemistry set,
right,
and through the food and cooking stations.
I've definitely started leaning myself off of stim packs and drugs, because I find that with the cooking station you can create food that is way more powerful than a stim pack. And yes, it takes a little bit of time to eat, but if you just back up and run and eat it, by the time it takes effect, you should be able to last and withstand the amount of damage that's been throwing at you. With crafting, I know I've definitely been loading up Sanctuary. I've reinforced some of the walls. One thing I don't like about Sanctuary, at least I haven't been able to find a way, can't destroy the houses that are still intact. You can only just raid their contents. And that's one thing I don't like if, like myself, you're trying to build a perimeter wall. Because I wanted to get rid of those and shorten up, the distance that I would have to work with. But not being able to do that, I was then forced to just build walls around it and incorporate the buildings into the walls, which I didn't really like, because then you got to tilt and twist stuff so that it kind of fits and blocks stuff, and it looks really janky, and it's just not what I want it to look.
Well, yeah, and that's where I'm saying it's still partially limited. But to answer a quick question for Garnet Bridged, yes, at this point, certain enemies, not all enemies, and it's depending on lighting conditions, are going to see me as caution, and that's because I almost have a maxed out stealth. Keep in mind, I'm a 40th level character, so at this point, a lot of enemies are going to be really simple, but there are still plenty of legendary and skull enemies. Like, I recently had to fight another Mirelurk Queen, for example, that still bring quite a significant challenge to the character. And plus, I've also found that later in the game, there's more charisma-related challenges as well, which still keep the game challenging even outside of combat. So, like I said, not broad daylight necessarily, but generally if it's not super bright outside. And that was another thing I was going to mention. I don't know if you've ran into a lot of like the lucky weapon. You do extra crit damage, for example, or
I have not.
An explosive pistol that does explosive damage for its bullets. Yeah, and then there's one for poison and bleeding. If you're lucky enough to find one of these weapons on like a legacy or legendary creature, those are where it's at. Those are the weapons you want to mod and make more powerful, because the explosive one, although I don't have one, I just know I've seen some gameplay with it. It's ridiculous. The same with the bleeding one.
Really?
I've gotten a few luckies, but not anything like significant, like the bleed damage or explosive damage.
That's kind of awesome. That's almost like reminiscent kind of the bleed and explosive damage that used to happen in Borderlands 2. I don't know how much you played that, but they had a variety of weapons where every weapon you could literally find it with a different variety of damage and stuff. Really, really cool. I definitely like hearing that there are weapons that are very key, I don't want to say key, but very worth hunting down and finding like that if you're trying to, be like, all right, I just want to blow stuff up, so I want the explosive pistol, so I'm going to go get it.
Yeah.
That's definitely cool to hear about.
The first time I saw something die from it, I actually thought the person had the bloody mess perk. And then I figured out it was actually because it was explosive damage.
I could only imagine what that would do with a maxed out bloody mess perk.
Yeah. I haven't taken it yet.
You haven't taken any of the bloody mess yet?
No, I haven't.
I've taken one rank because it does the plus, I think, 3% damage. So I'm like, I can deal with it. That's not that bad. And I don't mind the occasional head explode. It's always fun.
I actually have 2 points in selling stuff. I think maxed out for gun nut, at least for the current level available.
Right.
Same with sneak, ninja, the pistol, handgun, and then combat rifle
Right.
perks. So I've mostly been focusing in combat and building stuff, like one armor, one blacksmith.
Right. I definitely do like how with the crafting selection now, you can pretty much, if you're going to make a combat weapon, you pretty much you can make a combat shotgun from the same parts that you almost make a combat rifle from. And so it's definitely more suited to it. Well, do you want to do shotguns or do you want to do rifles? Do you want to do snipers or do you want to do pistols? They definitely give you the option to lean and make very individual combinations with your weapon combinations that allow you to push forward in the game to the point where you can play the character however you want and do whatever type of damage you want. I mean, heck, you can even then go in and customize your power armor, make it look however you want to, represent who you are. And that's a very in-depth feature of this game that is just starting to come through with people, I feel, pushing as deep as they are into this game and, starting to rock it out.
Yeah, well, realizing at this point that the max level is going to be somewhere around like 229-ish area. Level 40's still pretty low. And the amount of things I've seen in these perks and the amount of things they can do, I'm almost going to have to play like a character focused strongly in each stat to really see
what it's all right. Play like this your first time through and be good and just deal with it. Not deal with it, but play it like this, get a feel for the game. And then once you restart it or start a new game, you can then decide, well, I'm going to not help these people. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. But it doesn't at all feel like you can truly be like evil like you were in the last games where the Sandman perk where you walk up on someone sleeping and kill them was just like very suited for your character.
Well, to be fair, the Sandman perk still exists.
I know it does.
So
you
can do that. But another thing is, I don't know, these factions, I gotta say, they're all, with maybe the exception of the Railroad, I think the Railroad is probably the exception. Every other one could be perceived as evil in some way. The Minutemen want to destroy the Institute and the Brotherhood. And you would think, well, the Brotherhood, they're relatively good people. I mean, granted, they want to keep the technology to themselves to prevent others from using it. So there are some questionable moral ideals there, but
right.
That's just the nature of the beast for any faction, really. The Minutemen, they're like, oh, well, we're willing to slaughter and kill all of the Brotherhood and everybody in the Institute just to essentially make our dominance.
Technology.
Yeah, to affirm their dominance in the area and to say, all right, well, we control the Commonwealth again. The Institute, not much better. They want you to destroy the Brotherhood and the Minutemen as well, and even the Railroad. So, you might say, well, one's maybe a little more evil than the other, but this is the wasteland. I think the problem is they want to send you down a Pacific playthrough initially just so they're like, oh yeah, this is the quickest way to learn all the different factions, because if you do the Minutemen, you're likely to run into, the Brotherhood, like with that first mission.
Right.
And then, from there, okay, well, you've learned about the Brotherhood. You can find out now about the Railroad or the Institute in whichever order, and then successfully find out about the other one.
Right.
I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like, this is kind of the way you have to go, or you don't have to. You could just completely ignore everything, head straight to Diamond City. Even if you didn't know it was there, there's actually a magazine in the starting town that tells you where Diamond City is.
I do believe I grabbed that. That's how I found out the marker for Diamond City.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a easily known thing in the game.
So let's go to Concord or go to Diamond City.
Right. So after playing the game for what's it been, about 2 weeks now since it's launched?
Something like that.
2 weeks. Do you feel it is a rightful contender for the Game of the Year? Now remember, the other Game of the Year nominees are Metal Gear Solid 5, Bloodborne, Witcher 3, and Super Mario Maker.
Well, do I think it's a contender? Absolutely. I understand it came late in the year, but from what I played so far and the definite moral, this is why I was actually talking about those moral choices, because I went into this game thinking, oh yeah, the Minutemen, they're the good guys, and the Railroad, they're good guys, and I was like, Brotherhood, well, they're not so bad either. And then I got to the Institute, and literally it changes your perspective on everything, because at that moment you have to decide, is everything the Institute doing for the reason they're doing it good, or is it bad? And from the perspective I was looking at, I was like, well, this seems more bad than good. So then I'm going to, destroy it, and then all these other complex things happen afterwards. Well, what if I hadn't then, this other, rate? Just the amount of story and branching and just the in-depth features of the game, I think it's pretty solid. Now, you played a lot of Witcher 3, so I'm sure you would have a better comparison as far as RPGs go on how it would stand against Fallout 4.
I definitely did put a lot of time and play into Witcher 3. I believe when I last checked, I was somewhere at 163 or 164 hours in my first playthrough. I was addicted to the game. It was an amazingly well-crafted game, given the fact that they did it all by themselves. The music composition was amazing. The graphics were amazing. The swordplay and gameplay were fun. I enjoyed the type of crafting that you could do in the game. Overall, it definitely... Witcher 3, in my opinion, was a game where they're like, we're going to give you a story, and you can play the story out whatever way you want to play it. There are these options, but at the same time, just know you're going to feel like you're writing a book. Yes, there are cinematic parts where, they're just cutscenes and you're watching a whole bunch of dialogue, but at the same time, the dialogue is deep. The conversations that you have with people are deep. Granted, Fallout 4 is a different kind of deep and depth, and I don't know if it is truly as well crafted as Witcher 3 is, because Witcher 3 overall, they just knocked everything out of the park in my opinion. The fact that they were giving you free DLC for the first 8 weeks, that you could extra missions or even just the weapons and stuff, they were trying to, keep you informed in the game. They were doing updates constantly to make sure the bugs were being fixed and all the tweaks and stuff like that. They were very responsive to the gamer's opinion on what they think would be better, and took that into consideration when they were doing stuff. But at the same time, Fallout 4, being the newer game, is definitely fresher in people's minds, and I feel that it does have a right to be a contender. What they did for this game, and it definitely should be Game of the Year, but at the same time, I don't know if it's going to beat Witcher 3. Because I honestly have to say my cards on Witcher 3, because if it wasn't for Fallout 4 right now, I'd probably be playing Witcher 3 Hearts of Stone.
You don't think you'd be playing any Destiny or anything else?
I mean, I would go back to... I would play some Destiny. Destiny is definitely a fun game to where you can hop in a party with your buddies.
Casual,
and,
whenever.
Go around, run around, and grind out some levels, but it has the problem of MMOs where it's a level grind. You're grinding and grinding for gear. You're grinding and grinding to reach a certain point to where you can do something that even if you do it, like the Nightfall raid, you're not guaranteed to get all the stuff that you want or even anything. You might just get crapped on, and then you might make it all the way up to Oryx and not beat it and have to reset. It's just a grind where if you got to be in the mood for it. But with Witcher 3 and Fallout, it's more of it's a story. You can get wrapped up in it so easy that you will pass the hours quickly. But at the same time, It's up in the air because you have games like Bloodborne, which dropped hot and everyone loved it. It was a solid game. People are still playing it. There are so many different options and ways to play it. I don't have a PS4. I don't believe you do either. So neither of us have a perspective on it. But
I mean, Dave, yeah, our mutual friend between us, he's played some of it. And he's obviously given it, pretty good praise and reviews, especially if you're comparing it to like the Dark Souls saga, because there was a very lot. It was the same, similar feel.
it was the same
game.
publisher and everything, essentially.
Yeah, they just had to change the name for licensing.
Right, right.
Everything was about blood instead of souls. But
Right.
whatever the case, I heard it was a really good game as well. So I mean, the story in most of the Dark Souls games, as you know, is also pretty good, very telling.
Mhm.
So I imagine Bloodborne would be very much the same as well. The only thing I could really say in Fallout's defense, particularly, is when you look at it as a comparison to its previous games, Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, the amount of change that has went in
And progression is
to improve the mechanics in the system, because they were like, all right, we're finally going to tackle this from the perspective of let's build essentially an FPS on top of an RPG system, rather than building an RPG system and then adding on top of that a first person shooter system.
right.
And they learned this because of the changes they had made through like Skyrim, for example, and those other two games like New Vegas, and how much they had changed things in the direction where they were going. And it's like, well, we want to make this really, really rich environment and story and people, and everything you interact with can potentially, steer you one way or another. So that's why I'm still, again, hoping it's going to win, and why, as far as I'm concerned, just not because I didn't play The Witcher 3, because I actually kind of wanted to, just never had the time to invest. I'm really rooting for Fallout 4, essentially.
I can understand it. I mean, you've been a die-hard Fallout fan for many years. For a while there, you were only playing survival characters on New Vegas. You didn't even play regular characters anymore.
Well, hardcore mode was essentially the way to kick it up a notch, I guess you could say.
That transcended into pretty much all your games.
Turn that onto very hard. Well, that actually stems back to Perfect Dark.
True.
When we would just run it on the maximum level of hardness for the bots. And like 9 times out of 10, the only way to kill the bots before you was with explosions.
So, do you feel that Metal Gear Solid 5 or Super Mario Maker can sneak it out from either of our contenders?
Personally, I doubt, in my mind, they can win. Now, and that's not to say that neither of those are good games, perhaps, but Metal Gear Solid 5 I heard was great. Particularly, I almost wanted to play the game just simply so I could skyvault people and objects and everything,
right?
Pretty much, because I felt like it was Skyvault, the game, where you just attach something, balloon, send it into the air, back to the base. The fact that they wanted you to always be online and always connected and all this stuff, so that your base could constantly be under attack and things like, I get the bases to be under attack, but you could probably do it with some level of AI and bots.
Right.
Why does it always have to be online all the time to get the optimal experience or whatever? Like, I always kind of hate issues with games like that. Most everything I heard about it was, relatively straightforward. I don't know much about the story anymore at this point. It's changed so much. I think it's tough to keep track of, but...
what Snake's been doing and what's happened in his life.
I'm not even sure it's Snake. Isn't it, like, Big Boss, technically?
I don't know. I thought it was Snake.
I'm pretty sure it's not even Snake. But either way...
well, that's a letdown. Spoiler alert.
I mean...
who knows?
Who knows if it's right, because we're not double-checking right now.
No, we are not. And
finally,
I'm playing on it.
Mario Maker... I personally think that Mario Maker was very intelligent for Nintendo to release, because Nintendo's had this really tough time in like the YouTube scene and with getting people to work with them to create content and help them out, because they're struggling so much as a gaming company,
right?
And really all they have left is their IPs, and their systems just fallen to the floor. And Codename NX, we'll see if that turns out that's their new console, possibly released next year.
N64 throwback.
I don't think it's anything like that, but from what I've heard, it's
give us cartridges again, just blowing it.
It's all over the place. It might not even have a disk drive or anything. You might use USB sticks or something only.
Wow, that's futuristic.
Well, they want you to download all the games.
Of course, digital download is the way to go now.
They want it to all be digital.
They don't want to have to pay to make the product. They just want money for the product.
Yeah. Well, in either case, it might run on Android. I've heard there's all kinds of crazy stuff. Yeah, it's wild accusations at this point. So.
Speculation is accusation.
But I think the game in of a concept was really great. I don't know. I don't think it stands a chance at winning Game of the Year because Minecraft kind of basically did this already. So it's not really innovative. It's just innovative in the sense of Nintendo's finally letting us play with their assets.
True. They're giving the player the creation ability.
Hey, here's the assets. Make whatever you like.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that though. I've seen a little bit of the Metal Gear Solid gameplay. It looks very fun and interesting. I myself am not a sneak type person. I can't sit there and sneak and hide in games because I get too boring. Now I've heard that you can run and gun in this game. There is the option to make your character do that, but it's gonna be harder because it's essentially you're supposed to be sneaking around and silencing people and all that stuff. So, in my opinion, if it wins, it's because a lot of people like that style of game and I don't. Super Mario Maker, I like what they did with it. I don't feel it should be in this category because I almost feel like they're trying to give Nintendo a bone. Like, here, we'll throw you in this so that people at least know about your like big title that's going on right now. But they didn't do anything that innovative other than allow you to play with their property.
Yeah, their asset.
And so, I mean, the level creation that people make, now that is some of the most intense work and craftsmanship I've ever seen people put into, like, these levels. They have thought it out to the point where you have to, like, make sure you have the power up so that when you get hit, you can, like, iframe through all of the enemies to make it onto the other side, because that's the only way to get on through the other side. You have to realize that. If not, you're just going to be stuck. So it's very innovative and creative, but at the same time, it's a Mario game. It's not anything we haven't seen before. And at the same time, I kind of hate to say it, I almost think that Mario N64 graphics look about the same as Super Mario Maker graphics.
Well, the thing about Mario Maker you have to remember is they actually let you play with the assets from the original Mario, Mario 2, Mario 3, Super Mario from Super NES. I think even some of the ones from N64 and the new Wii. So it depends on what asset pack you're essentially looking at on the things that people make. Because a lot of them, they want to make it into the old school stuff because it's very nostalgic. Oh, I'm gonna make this impossible. You have to hit this one turtle shell at this precise moment, and it kills all the enemies. Otherwise, you are dead. Like
right.
Or you have to stand, like your character falls in and you have to stand perfectly still. If you hit any key at any point, like you will die because it's going to automatically bounce you through the level or something.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, there are definitely those hardcore level crafters who are taking it back to the original Mario games that were very, very hard and cut and dry, and you had to be precise and spot on with everything you did. But at the same time, it doesn't. It's not a contender. It's a sympathy case, in my opinion, if anything. But pushing to the future, what games are you looking forward to playing?
Right now on my list, the next game I plan on trying to tackle is the new Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, I believe.
Right.
I'm going to be playing it on my Xbox One, of course. I'll probably be streaming some of that. And on top of that, I am kind of going to probably look into the Battlefront.
Yes?
I'm going to look into it. I'm going to watch probably a few friends get it first.
Right.
See how it pans out, because my big fear is that it's going to become Titanfall, and the servers are going to be wildly empty in 6 months to a year, to the point of which, like, nobody's playing that game anymore that I know of. Like, none of my friends are, that's for darn sure.
Right.
I don't know if Titanfall still exists as servers
it does.
online.
Their servers are still online. People do go back to it from time to time and play some Titanfall. Yeah. It's not unheard of. I am going to be playing Battlefront hopefully here in the near future. I'm looking forward to playing that. I'm going into it with the feelings of you gotta know what it is before you get it. You have to do your research and realize you aren't getting a new age, RPG, MMO, FPS shooter game where there's this in-depth story and you're gonna dive right in. And no, it's a game designed to where, all right, I got 45 minutes before I got to go to work. You want to play a game real quick, and you hop into a game with your friend, run around, and you do the objectives, or you die until it's time to go, or the round ends, and you can either start another one or you end it. It's designed for easy play, easy fun access to give you the thrill of running around and team objective based team based objectives, but at the same time you can just go off and do your own thing or run around and run and gun. I feel you definitely have to know what modes you're gonna want to play because there are definitely some interesting modes. I like the fighter squadron mode. That one I'm definitely gonna be spending a lot of time in because it's pretty much just ships are flying around and you're getting into a space battle kind of, but you're not in space in this one yet. Hopefully they'll put you back in space, and you got to know that you're playing it the same way you played the original Battlefronts back on the original Xbox, where it was Battlefront 1 and 2. I know you recently, probably within the last year and a half, have probably booted it up. I know I played it within the last 2 years. It's a game that you can go back to with your friends and just have fun with. But the thing is it was Galactic Conquest that everyone had fun with. And so let's hope that with these expansions that are coming out, they do try and push a Galactic Conquest mode. Not even push it, but put a Galactic Conquest mode in there. So that you do have the option of, you know what, we don't want to play online. We're just going to play this real quick and have some fun and still play the game.
I don't even know if I would care so much if Galactic Conquest it was online per se. But I feel like that in of itself is one thing that I feel is just incredibly missing from the game. And everyone keeps telling me, oh, they never had any story in Battlefront 2, for example. And I'm like, no, there was technically a campaign, a story you could actually play through, both in single player and in co-op. And then Galactic Conquest had several other stories that you could play through, essentially. And I'm sure you could have more than just the split screen person in that game. So
yeah,
it's not like other people couldn't join necessarily. I just feel like they're not catering to both crowds. They're like, oh, it's PvP or nothing.
Right. That we're not giving you a PvE option. Where a lot of people now, that is the thing. Not trying to go spin off topic, but that is the thing with Destiny that a lot of people that draws people back. I just want to be able to hop in with my friends and not have the competitive nature that is PvP. I just want to run around and shoot some stuff and have some fun. And that's what Battlefront should be offering to you, is that option, but at the same time, it shouldn't have to be PvPE, if that makes sense. Because it's player versus everything.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
I'm sure there are bots on the field.
There are bots on the field. So that's what makes it to where you're facing everything, because you can find yourself in a game where you're not facing any real people for a little while and you're just shooting bots.
Which is why I might accept if they add Galactic Conquest in.
Right.
Because, there may be plenty of scenarios you're not even playing against real people.
Yes, this is very true. So, pushing on. Let's go. We're going to start a new topic this week. It's going to be a spin-off topic. It's going to be Tech Specs with Elite Sir Bob. He's going to give us a little summary and some information on an interesting piece of technology that will be coming out in the near to distant future, or something that either of us are excited about. So, Bob, take it away.
Well, right now, the biggest thing I'm personally looking forward to is the new Xbox One Elite Xbox Bundle. Now, this new console comes with a 1 terabyte hybrid hard drive, so that means part of it's solid state, and the new Elite controller, and I believe it's a price tag of about $500.
Mm-hmm.
Downside, does not come with a Kinect, which is kind of disheartening a bit. It means I'll have to purchase one separately since I'll be returning my old console.
Right.
So that's like the biggest thing. I'm looking forward to trying all the new features with the new controller, because it's going to have buttons that you can key to on the back, a whole new D-pad that are interchangeable for different types.
Knobs.
I think there may even be different thumbsticks.
Yeah. Yes.
So I'm pretty excited about that. That's one of the key things I'm looking forward to. Also, there's a lot of bundles out there. I recently found out that Microsoft, if you're part of their Bing rewards, there's actually a limited edition Fallout 4 Xbox schemed, so it has like the texture and outlay of like I think it might have been a vault or something on the actual
that's
console.
awesome.
And then the controller also had some type of scheme on it. I'd actually have to go look up the picture to see what it was. But I signed up for the rewards program just so I could get 2 free entries into trying to win that console because it looks so awesome. I believe it also has a 1 terabyte hard drive. It might even come with the game. So
That'd be cool.
I mean, either way, I just want it for the console.
Oh, absolutely. That would just I don't even know if I'd play it. I'd just put it in a case and be like, look at my Fallout Edition Xbox.
Other than that, one thing additionally I can add is running the games from an external hard drive, which I've had to do recently while I'm waiting for the Elite Bundle to come out, has been very unfortunate due to the extra load times that I've been experiencing. So for any of you using an external out there, highly recommend putting your most played games on your actual hard drive. Definitely will increase loading times, and if you really want, get the new hybrid Xbox Elite Bundle like I am, and hopefully my games are going to load like instantly almost.
Right. That's one thing you got to look forward to with the new Xboxes. So I think with that, we are going to wrap up this episode of Truckstop Chatter. I know I definitely appreciate everyone who stopped in, said what's up in chat. I definitely enjoyed our conversation today. I felt it was very informative. I appreciate everyone stopping back. You should be able to catch me here in probably about an hour or two. I'm probably going to load back up and play some Fallout 4 here. I don't know about Bob. What are you going to be doing?
I'm probably going to be going to bed. I got to work all day for Black Friday tomorrow.
The Black Friday rush.
Yeah. So
are you excited? You getting any Black Friday deals?
I got one today already.
What'd you get?
Picked up a $299 Dell that was an i3 with 8 gigs, 1 terabyte hard drive.
There you go. Is that going to be your new streaming rig?
No, this is going to replace the laptop. 2 laptops that are essentially broken.
Is it a laptop or is it a desktop?
It's a laptop.
Nice. Congratulations.
Yeah, so
good job.
good price, good parts.
Can't beat it. Geek Squad guarantee?
I did not get the Geek Squad on it.
Really?
And it was mainly because the laptop is so cheap, the coverage is worth more than like half the cost of the laptop.
Makes sense.
I decided in this particular scenario only because the price was so low.
You go that route?
Yeah.
Well, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for us. My name is Furio789. You can check me out on Twitter at Fury's Truckstop or here on Twitch at Furio789.
I'm Elite Sir Bob. You can check me out at Twitch at Elite Sir Bob or check me out on Twitter at Sir Bob 2056.
All right, guys, we appreciate your support. Definitely come back next week and check us out for the next edition of Truckstop Chatter. Appreciate everyone stopping in and have a good night.